talking about the Black Keys. They've got a new album coming out, Delta Cream. It's a blues covers album. What's your thoughts on that, Willie?
I think it's a nice change of pace for them. I've always been a pretty big fan of Dan Auerbach. I've seen him live a couple times. I like the way he plays guitar. I like the riff-based rock. I like his sort of vintage vibe that he brings along with his bandmate, Patrick Carney. Having said that, I think some of their stuff of late has been a little bit rote. And by that, I mean, it's just this year's version of the Black Keys' big hit song. And I'm not trying to take away from the song itself, but I think any sort of artist and any sort of band can get into a groove where the music is still very good, but it starts to sound a little bit similar. So I think doing this covers album of blues is coming just at the right time to change some things up. I also like the people that they selected to do the majority of the coverage. Junior Kimbrough, R.L. Burnside, those are two pretty great blues musicians who really never got a lot of coverage or really any sort of press when they were in their heyday. It's only in the past couple of decades. So I also enjoy their song selection because so often you see people go for the big favorites, the classic blues household names, the pre-war guys that everyone knows about. Picking these guys to make an album around in that North Mississippi sound, I think it's sort of cool. Pete, what do you think? Are you looking forward to it, or is this just another covers album?
Well, it's interesting, Willie, kind of what you were talking about with the Black Keys and their last album. I thought it was a good, solid album, but like you, I didn't think it was anything that was mind-blowing or crazy with what they were doing. I think it was just solid, good rock album, but nothing amazing. And what's cool about the Black Keys right now is they don't have to put this album out. I think they've reached a level of status in their career where now they can pretty much do what they want. They can put out a blues cover album because they want to, which is great, because I think a lot of artists, especially more mainstream artists, would not be in a position where they would be putting out an album like this. So I think it is really cool that the Black Keys are doing this because they are one of the few bands that are blues based that can really get out to a very large audience that are in the mainstream and can get this music out to a lot of people. You mentioned artists like R.L. Burnside, who's going to be featured on his covers. So there's a lot of people out there that don't know who he is.
Right.
If you ask anyone under the age of probably really 40, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people who are going to know who he is if you're just asking the average person on the street. And that's the same goes for the other artists on this album. So I think that's one of the cool things is they get to do these covers and they get to expose this music and these artists to a lot of people who probably aren't really familiar with them. And a lot of people enjoy the Black Keys. So I think they'll probably like a lot of the music on this album. And to them, a lot of these tracks are going to be new and fresh.
Right.
Most of the people hearing this aren't going to have heard these covers before.
Right.
So that's one of the cool things. And we discussed covers in a previous episode. And this is one of the cool things about covers is when you cover artists like this, a lot of people, they're never going to heard the original song.
Right.
So to them, it's still completely new. It's completely fresh. And that's the great thing is they're bringing this music to a lot of people who wouldn't hear it otherwise, Willie.
And I think when we speak about the Black Keys, they're one of those bands where as much as I like the power duo in this case, as much as I enjoy the original lineup and the original idea, I sort of tend to like their off-kilter projects a little bit better. My favorite incarnation of when I say the Black Keys, in this case, I'm talking about Dan Auerbach, but I'm not trying to dismiss the input of Patrick Carney. But one of my favorite versions of the Dan Auerbach guitar experience was when he did the collaboration with Dr. John a few years back. I thought that was just awesome. So in general, I like the Black Keys stepping out of the Black Keys mode and doing something a little different.
Yeah, I think it kind of spices things up a little bit. And again, a lot of people are going to hear stuff that they haven't heard before. I think this is a situation where really everyone wins.